Araba var, araba. Araba var. Çekil, kafanı çek.
Arabayı sen mi götürdün? Sen mi götürdün?
Sen değil, arabayı birden oraya çektiler. Araba orada helep oldu ha.
Doluya bak, kar oldu hemen.
Arabayı kim almış oraya ya? Jetta, Jetta. Cengiz'in mi?
He?
Cengiz abinin mi?
Bilmiyorum, değil ya. Öyle işte.
Yavaşladı.
Senin hızına bak he.
Birden hızlandı.
Ben yukarıya bakayım tıkanır da delik. Yukarı bakayım delik tıkanmaz.
Yat be. Manavı su basacak ha.
Böyle görmedim bak arabadan olsa daha yolunu görüyorsun değil mi?
Ya
Ben bu kadar otobüs geliyor.
otobüs gelme ya gelme.
Gelme.
Kapat İsmail kapat.
Abi otobüs geliyor da şu otobüs
Otobüs gelmesin ya. Araya falan girsin yani. Şu İsmail önde 2 tane araba var İsmail.
önde 2 tane araba gitti abi onlar.
O ikisi de bak aha gidiyor bak. Sarı araba kayıyor. Sarı araba kayıyor bak.
Hayır. Abi yukarısı olduğu gibi çok
Sarı
kötü ya.
Sarı. Okulun içine girmesin su ya. Sarı araba gitti. İsmail biraz video çekeyim.
Gel abi gel. Çok kötü abi ya. Abi hayır felaket geldi. Geçti şimdi de.
Yolcular şimdi panik halindedir ha.
Otobüs hiç hareket yok. Şiddeti geçti. O taraftan geçti. Çok kötüydü ya. Ama bundan önceki daha kötüydü. 3 sene önceki mi 4 sene önceki mi daha kötü.
Tam öğretmenin tuvaletine
colega mukshana khabra colega Valla şu. Arabanın altına girecek. Arabanın altına girecek. Ha tuttular.
Ay Allah'ım araba. Çek Mino. Arabalara bak. Ay bütün arabalar gitti. Çek bakayım bir. Ay bütün arabalar gitti. Gitti. Sen Gültepe Mersin Pınar. Ay insanların her şeyleri gitti. Her şeyleri gitti insanların. Dükkanlar. Allah'ım bu neydi ya Rabbim? Dur. Ay Allah'ım yukarıdan geliyor. Hay Allah'ım. Allah'ım sen yardım et. Ya Rabbim. Bütün arabalar bak Pınar 1, 2, 3, 4 tane araba gitti. 4 tane, 5 tane araba gitti Pınar. Çocuğu görüyor musun üstünde? Pınar. Ay Pınar. Ay insancıkların arabaları. Her şeyleri gitti. Halit'in kahvesinin önü. Ay. Pınar'cığım tekrar arabaları göstereyim sana. Pınar.
Bak araba.
Tüplere bak Allah. Ha, şimdi bak aldı arabaya götürüyor.
Afete bak.
Öbür arabaya da götürdü.
Bak görüyor musun?
Bak buradan eve dükkanlara su girdi. Yani şimdi.
Abi araba gidiyor araba. Araba gidiyor araba. Oğlum araba gidiyor lan.
Kapanmıyor ki. Kamera hangisi kamera? Ha? Ha? Kamera hangisi?
İşte gördüğünüz gibi geçen seneki manzaranın aynısı.
Sel bir çamur deryasıyla geldi. Evleri, iş yerlerini su bastı. Araçlar yollarda mahsur kaldı. Sağanak yağışla İzmir bugün bir felaket yaşadı. Sokaklar adeta dereye döndü. Önünde ne çöp konteyneri durabildi ne de araçlar.
Şu anda araba sürükleniyor arkadaşlar, görüyorsunuz. Yağmur çok süratli ve arabayı aldı götürdü.
Yollar sadece dakikalar içinde nehre döndü.
Dükkanların içine kadar girmiş. Allah'ım ya Rabbim.
Sel önüne ne kattıysa sürükledi. Araçlar dahi suyun gücüne karşı koyamadı.
Arkasında bir tane motosiklet. Şu anda yol tıkandı. Evet, araç gidiyor.
Bu görüntüleri neredeyse her yağmurda aynı çileyi çeken İzmirliler kaydetti.
Adamın siyah bir araba içinde adam vardı. Sürükledi gitti araba.
Değil mi?
Yağmur suları yukarıdan oldukça şiddetli bir şekilde akıyordu. Bu aracı önüne kattı. İşte bu araç burada durabildi. Burada kepçe vardı. Eğer burada kepçe olmasaydı aşağıya doğru sürüklenecekti.
Aniden bastıran yağmurla birlikte kentte hayat adeta felç oldu.
Şu anda İzmir Buca'da dolu yağıyor.
Böyle bir belediyeye sahip olduğumuz için gerçekten çok mutluyuz.
Sokak ve caddeler nehir gibi aktı. Kimse adımını dışarı atamadı.
İzmir Tepecik'te belediyemizin, İzmir Konak'ta belediyemizin muhteşem çalışması.
Bazıları ise araçlarını kurtarabilmek pahasına canını hiçe saydı.
Çek.
Bir sene daha sürer. Bir sene daha gider.
Do Cavou, com mais de 20 casas ainda estão inundadas. Eles estão tendo que subir numa jangada improvisada para ter várias ruas ainda estão alagadas. E metade delas sem energia.
Essa ação expôs um cenário de destruição. Os moradores nem precisaram contabilizar os prejuízos. Eles perderam tudo.
Nos últimos 3 dias, choveu quase 300 milímetros no local.
Em Maceió, os bombeiros tiveram que suspender as buscas no bairro de Santo Amaro porque o solo estava muito encharcado. Um homem continua desaparecido no local. De acordo com a Defesa Civil, 25 mil pessoas foram atingidas pelas chuvas. Em Marechal Deodoro, as ruas ficaram entulhadas de imóveis que não servem mais. O mercado do peixe não abriu. Pelo menos 700 pescadores foram obrigados a deixar suas casas e não podem voltar ao trabalho por causa da sujeira da água. Em Pernambuco, mais um dia de muito trabalho nas 24 cidades atingidas pelas enchentes. Já são 55 mil desabrigados ou desalojados. A água do rio Una baixou, mas a rotina dos moradores vai demorar a voltar ao normal. As imagens de destruição estão por toda parte. Só aqui em Barreiros, dos 42 mil moradores, 17 mil tiveram que abandonar as suas casas às pressas para não perder a vida. As doações não param de chegar, mas a necessidade é tão grande que há disputa na hora da distribuição. Também choveu forte na região metropolitana do Recife. Avenidas importantes ficaram alagadas e um enorme engarrafamento se formou durante toda a manhã. Foi tanta água que a terra encharcou e provocou o deslizamento de uma barreira neste morro no bairro de Dois Unidos, na zona norte do Recife. Uma dona de casa de 37 anos e o sobrinho de 14 morreram soterrados.
Essas famílias que estão aqui do lado, olha só, pelo menos 500 famílias ainda continuam, 500 pessoas, perdão, continuam nos abrigos. Elas estão nos abrigos, dormiram lá e voltaram agora de manhã para poder ver como é que está a casa e tentar aí terminar a limpeza dessas casas. A gente tem imagens para mostrar para vocês também de outros lugares aqui da Mata Sul. Não só em Gameleira, mas nas outras cidades ainda há muita lama e muita sujeira. E nessas cidades, os moradores ainda têm um problema a mais, a falta de água. Falta de água até para limpar as casas. Isso porque o sistema de abastecimento foi comprometido por causa das enxurradas. Veja na reportagem de Bruno Fontes.
Nas ruas, montanhas de móveis estragados e lixo, um perigo para a saúde. O risco agora é de contaminação. 23 cidades do interior de Pernambuco foram prejudicadas. A água do rio baixou, mas as ruas estão assim. E os moradores passam horas em contato com essa água suja, tentando limpar as casas.
Hundreds of thousands of Rohingya refugees are facing an acute crisis after a cyclone destroyed their camps in Bangladesh. The warning comes from the International Organization for Migration. It says food, water and health services are scarce and that more than 16,000 makeshift homes have been damaged or destroyed. The Rohingyas are living in overcrowded camps in Cox's Bazar, having escaped violence in neighbouring Myanmar. Tanvir Chowdhury is at a Rohingya refugee camp in Cox's Bazar.
I'm in Kutupalang Rohingya refugee camp, Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh. These people are busy rebuilding their roof that was blown away from yesterday's storm, using simple material like polyplastic sheet to cover their roof. Most of the houses are thatched roof houses here, covered with poly wraps, which might have actually saved them from the storm yesterday, because if it was tin roof, most of them could have actually killed them or hurt them seriously. There's been no relief or any kind of effort by the government or NGOs to come and help them here. They're left on their own. Luckily, the weather is good. It's dry and sunny. They have the time to rebuild their rooftops and stay dry for the time being. But as of now, we haven't seen any kind of volunteers or government official coming here to help these people out who are already in big trouble in this refugee camp, southeastern Bangladesh.
Janaka Chaminda Kumar was too close and yet too far from his family when his house was washed away in the deluge. He had stepped out to a shop just a few meters away when he heard a loud sound, and within seconds his wife Niranjala and infant son Chaman were gone.
It's unfortunate. My sister told me that my wife tried her best to protect our son, and he did not have any injury on his body. I know she tried to do all she could to save our son.
Many like Janaka have lost their loved ones in the landslides and floods that caught the Sri Lankans unaware on 26th May. His district Ratnapura is the worst hit, where more than 70 have been killed and the numbers are still rising.
There
were trees here. This was a beautiful mountain with thickets. We never thought such a disaster would happen here. The 2 houses which were up there are deep under the mud.
While extensive rescue operations are on, many bodies are feared to be still buried under the debris. From landslide-affected areas, we are now in flood-affected areas. While the people in landslide areas have to deal with different challenges, people here have found temporary solutions to deal with the floods. In areas where water has begun to recede, people are coming home to take a stock of the damage done. There are others which are still inundated, making the rescue operations difficult.
We are used to rains and flooding in our area, but this year it has been unusual. We have never experienced such floods in 70 years in this village.
At this hour of tragedy, once again the Sri Lankans are rising up to the occasion and helping those in trouble. Adverse weather warnings still exist, and it will take months before normalcy returns to this island country. Ravinder Baba, CGTN, Ratnapura. As the water recedes, people are queuing up in medical camps like these. Continuous exposure to contaminated water has increased the cases of diarrhea, lung and skin infections. Medicines to cure these diseases are being distributed in these camps, but the government is concerned about other outbreaks.
There will be huge number of dengue patients. That's we are expecting that also. And since the people, they have exposed to muddy water and some rainy water, and there's a chance of getting leptospirosis as well.
Many villages are still submerged in muddied flood water. The prediction of scattered rains in the next few days will only make matters worse.
The water source has been contaminated, so that need to be rectified. So health sector and the disaster management sector, as well as Army, Navy, Air Force and Police, they are coping with that one. Because this is one of the important factor.
Over 40% of the people who have been impacted by these floods do not have access to piped drinking water. As you can just see behind me, that's the well, which is a drinking water source for most of these people who have been impacted, and it will take months before these wells can be cleaned. Government has reached out to the people, but it's going to take time before people can have access to clean drinking water. People are hugely relying on bottled water, but that is expensive. They depend on relief teams to supply water. Some get 2 bottles per person, and others suffer due to shortage of potable water.
We've been displaced by the floods and have muddied drinking water. We have to boil it for consumption, which is really inconvenient.
For the Sri Lankans affected by the flood, this is just a beginning of unending challenges. Ravinder Baba, CGTN, Kaduvela.
These boats are the only hope for thousands of Sri Lankans cut off by floodwater following last week's torrential rain. Dozens of boats load up cooked food, dry rations and medicines.
There are about 150 to 200 families in this area completely cut off. We have to depend on boats coming to us.
Al Jazeera joined Lasantha and his friends who volunteered to transport supplies in their boat. Marooned families are glad to see them and try to grab as much as they can, because they don't know when the next boat will come their way. The boat crew has to be firm but fair. The crews carry as much as they can, trying to give people what they ask for.
We are completely cut off and can't even get medicines.
Sri Lanka's armed forces, the Disaster Management Centre and a large number of volunteers such as Lasantha are working together. But coordination is a problem in some areas.
Sometimes the food is spoilt by the time it's brought to us, so we try to cook using the dry rations we get.
Navigating the flooded areas isn't easy. You can see is this body of water. You can't tell where the river, where the paddy field stops and where the roads begin. And it's basically a huge task still as the waters begin to recede slowly. It's a challenge for Lasantha and his team.
We stay close to the main roads to find our way using signs as a guide. There's no landmarks to guide us in open spaces like paddy fields.
Running out of supplies for the large number of families that crowd around his boat is common. As the water recedes, Lakshan and his friends hope the need for rescue boats will too. Minna Fernandez, Al Jazeera, Mathura, southern Sri Lanka.
The mist-covered peak looms over a muddy scar on a mountainside where a village once stood. Of the 14 houses that bordered this tea plantation in Kiribati, southern Sri Lanka, the abandoned shells of only 3 remain. The military found this dead woman buried in the mud and rock. Her child is among the people still missing. You can see where the wall of mud and water has crashed through the forest and this tea plantation. Here, we understand that 4 members of the same family were killed in this house, and search and rescue operations are still looking for at least another 10 people. 2 children were among 4 people killed in this home. A school bag lies in the mud next to a small wooden chair. Ashoka's house was completely destroyed. He wasn't here when the landslide happened. He knew many of those who lost their lives.
The people who lived here were good, kind people. They all looked after each other. We have lost many of them.
Survivors are sheltering in a nearby village school. It is difficult to imagine how Mahinda and his family survived.
I was waist deep in mud. My wife screamed. My boy was missing. I grabbed the pole from the bed and I pulled myself out. I started searching everywhere but couldn't find him. My mother-in-law said he was last seen near the cupboard. So I started digging around there. After digging about 2 feet, I saw his head. I managed to dig until his waist was visible. His legs were stretched, so I couldn't pull him up anymore. Then some boys from nearby came and helped me rescue him.
The collapse of this mountainside destroyed a community. It is highly unlikely those still missing are alive. Charles Stratford, Al Jazeera, Kiribati, southern Sri Lanka.
Recent satellite images have revealed the severity of this year's spring drought in Korea. It is a major issue for farmers as things look set to get worse before they improve.
This is a Japanese observation satellite orbiting the Earth. It can measure the amount of moisture on the Earth's surface. Last month, soil water content on the Korean peninsula was found to have dropped to below 10%, indicating a severe drought that can kill plants. The images also show that there are many more dry areas on the peninsula compared to last year.
여기서 탑재되어 있는 센서를 이용해서 토양 지표면에서의 단위 면적당의 수분 양을 이제 보실 수 있는데 수분 양이 좀 많이 줄어든 상태를 관측할 수 있습니다.
Plants grow well when the soil water content is nearly 100%. When it falls to below 45%, it's regarded as the initial stage of a drought. When the figure plummets to below 15%, it's a severe drought.
15% 이하로 떨어질 때는 식물이 시들어서 더 이상은 좀 생육이 잘 안 되는 그런 단계까지 오게 됩니다. 30mm 이상 강우가 와야지 해갈이 된다고 봅니다.
Crop damages are expected to grow as the amount of precipitation is expected to be lower than in previous years, even during this year's monsoon season in June and July.
Moscow is clearing up after what's being called the worst storm here in 100 years. This is one of 27,000 trees the city's government says were knocked over on Monday. They fell in parks, on roads, buildings, cars, and on top of people.
It all happened within 10 minutes. A very strong wind started to blow, and immediately a tree fell and it brought down another tree.
It damaged a windshield and a mirror. I don't know if anything else is damaged. I can't see because of the trees on the car.
Videos shared online show what happened. A previously sunny afternoon suddenly turned very nasty indeed. This was a freak storm lasting 20 minutes at most, but with winds up to 110 kilometers an hour. Muscovites are complaining that mobile phone SMS alerts didn't reach many of them. Even the Kremlin felt the storm's effects.
It is very unusual to have such strong winds going through a city on what is really the European plain, but the setup to get such a thing is normal. There's a cold front travelling through, so ahead of it, warm air, as it was in Moscow, 25 degrees, behind 15 degrees, and that happened in a very short distance, which gives you the energy to give those big gusts. But the whole system was travelling fairly quickly, so it was gusty, but luckily didn't last too long.
The loss of life has prompted Russia's investigative committee to launch an inquiry. The storm hit so hard and so fast that people caught out in the open didn't really know that they were in particular danger. Now, the workers here told us that when this tree came crashing down, it landed on a bench that was here. There was a couple sitting at that bench. The woman jumped out the way, but the man was killed. With long, cold winters, Moscow is used to harsh weather. But it's not used to this. Rory Challens, Al Jazeera, Moscow.
A desert where there once was water. This is South Africa's Teerwaterskloof Dam, the main source of water for Cape Town. But levels have plummeted after over 2 years of persistent drought.
At about 100%, the water comes up to this area. And as you can see, this is the current situation.
There is currently just over 10% of usable water in Cape Town's dams. Exposed moorings at the local water sports club bear testimony to just how far levels have dropped.
I've worked here for about 20 years and I've never ever seen the dam this low.
Cape Town has declared the drought a disaster and introduced harsh restrictions. Residents can use up to 100 litres a day, but only for drinking, cooking and essential cleaning. At one natural spring in the city, residents line up during their lunch break to fill water bottles.
We're just relying on a miracle at the moment. There's no sign of rain coming, so we just got to pray.
The city is looking at alternate sources of water, but says in the meantime, residents simply have to cut back.
In terms of international best practice, the best mechanism to manage a drought effectively is to manage one's demand, which is what we are doing. But that doesn't mean we have not thought about the supply side.
Strong summer rains have seen much of southern Africa recover from the El Nino-induced drought. But Cape Town receives most its rain in winter, and scientists say there's no guarantee of a good wet season.
It takes a good 3 years to fill a dam to overflowing, especially the big dams. Unlikely that our dams will fill. Best case scenario is they get to 60–70%. More than that, we'd be very, very lucky. But even if we get the 60 to 70%, that leaves us in more or less the same position we are this time next year.
The city is planning to drill into mountain aquifers and is also looking to build 2 desalination plants. With climate change models predicting a warmer and drier Cape Town, the city's water worries are far from over.
Stronger storms, higher floodwaters, farmlands now barren. All of this, says the UN Secretary General, is the result of a warming planet. And warm, Antonio Guterres says, isn't always good.
Areas where drought once struck every decade are now seeing cycles of 5 or even 2 years between droughts. And moreover, dry spells are lasting longer from California to the Sahel.
Australian climate researchers say average world temperatures could increase by more than 1.5 degrees Celsius in less than a decade. 1.5 degrees is the temperature rise limit built into the Paris Agreement, an accord meant to slow global warming by getting countries to restrict or cut their greenhouse gas emissions. The Trump administration has said it considers the Paris deal a direct threat to its plans to increase U.S. manufacturing, and as a result, it could back out of the accord as early as this week.
I think they are working towards having an answer for that, and so we'll wait and see what that answer is.
Since emissions targets are voluntary, the U.S. could simply miss its own target, but it could also withdraw completely from the Paris Agreement in the next few years. Guterres told an audience he's still trying to persuade Washington to stay engaged.
We are doing our best in dialogue with the administration and Congress to make the U.S. understand that funding development aid, funding foreign policy in general, funding organizations like the UN is also in the interest of the American people.
Guterres says he will convene in 2019 what he's calling a special climate summit to make certain that countries that have ratified the agreement are keeping their promises. Of course, the big challenge for Guterres will be making certain that the U.S. doesn't break its commitment. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera at the United Nations.